And like life, there's some painful moments, and as we get into some of the other stuff that's happened, Brian, I don't know if you've listened to this before or have caught any of our shows before, but we do tend to get into some deep stuff, and you may have seen the preview of what we were going to get into. But I did want to stop in on this particular thing. Dave Chappelle, this past couple days here, was attacked while he was on stage, and perhaps stemming from the Will Smith fiasco. So the Daily Mail says a man 23 is charged with trying to attack Dave Chappelle. He was armed with a knife that was like a replica gun. So he had a gun, but it was not a real gun. It had a knife in it. So he tackled him during his Netflix gig, and and I guess it was following some trans jokes that he had made, which seems like he keeps poking the bear. But I don't know. My initial thought on this was, I don't know. I hate blaming the actions of one person like on another. Like Will Smith was totally out of line by what he did, but like, I don't know.
I don't know that you would necessarily say blame Will Smith for it as much as, people see somebody attack a comedian, all of a sudden they think, okay, it's okay for me to attack a comedian.
Right. Like, and I don't know if that was his motivation. Like, oh, well, Will Smith did it and he's fine. Like, I guess I'll just go and tackle Dave here, but it's certainly not okay to be attacking anyone for jokes being made. And that's like, it seems like people are losing the humor, like we could 10 years ago, we could have a joke about nearly anything. And now comedians have to tiptoe around everything. And it's alarming to me because when you kill the jester, like now we're pulling the mask off,
30 years ago, you could make blazing saddles. That wouldn't go anywhere today.
Very true. Very true.
You have to go that far back. Again, I keep referencing some of the more recent shows being Scrubs. Scrubs is like not even like a full 2 decades ago. It wasn't even 20 years ago, really. It was mid to late 2000s that show was on. And that show had some jokes that nowadays even Zach Braff and Donald Faison have gone on record in their podcast saying the jokes that they had on that show wouldn't fly nowadays. Like, it's like comedy isn't dead. People just want to find a reason to be offended, and that's the only downside to all of it, is that people fear saying something that may be some level of controversial or some level of funny at someone else's expense. And people are just so like everyone, no one knows how to, well, I wouldn't say anyone, but like there are people out there that just don't know how to just laugh at something that's objectively funny. It's just funny.
Walk away if they don't find it funny.
Exactly. If you don't find it funny, just leave. And you don't have to acknowledge the person. Oh, well, that wasn't funny, therefore I have to now, attack your career. No, just go on about your day.
Well, even it gets into what Brian, you were saying earlier, and actually, I felt kind of attacked in your first episode.
What did I do?
Well, when you were saying, when like all this, you had spoken about like how like social media is essentially designed to give like a Pavlovian response. I think that's what you were saying, and how like people are very reactionary. And we make a lot of things about us, and we are like, it's always these knee jerk, like, and that's what I feel like happened here. Like this guy, like he heard a joke, he made it about him and his anger, and then he felt he needed to assert that on Dave Chappelle. And it's like, that's kind of the problem. And it's maybe a product of how social media is designed nowadays. It like, oh, I got 20 likes on this thing. That means what I said was important. So people will care. I don't know that. So
for what it's worth,
I felt attacked, but I know it wasn't me.
I don't think that I was speaking specific. I'm trying to, I wasn't speaking specifically about you. It is a much broader issue, but if you want to feel attacked, you know what? That's your guilt. I can't, you need to work that out with your therapist. The Chappelle thing, I don't know if it specifically comes out of the Will Smith thing. there have always been disturbed people, and it's certainly not the first time that someone has rushed a stage. Maybe it was influenced by Will Smith. There have certainly been stories showing that school shooters are influenced by school shooters to a certain degree, and that media coverage encourages them on some level to go after their own thing through their own psychosis. It's really a mental health issue, because you don't rush a stage without having some sort of a mental health concern. I wonder if the response was warranted. Because afterwards there were like 10 people who like kicked the shit out of him.
Oh yeah.
And if you saw the video, like it looked like his shoulder was dislocated.
His elbow was like
his arm was not bending the right way.
My man's looked like a bendy straw. It was great.
Yeah, I mean, I just,
Well, part of me thinks. Sorry, part of me thinks.
No, go ahead.
You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes.
Yeah.
And
it's very much a around and find out thing.
Right. And I hate, and this is the thing is like you said, you don't rush a stage and try and attack a very, very famous person while he's doing a comedy sketch, unless you have something not quite, the pistons are not all firing properly, or elevator's not all the way at the top. And so, but no one's thinking that right then, right? His security team's like, I just got to beat the out of this guy and get him out, making sure he's not a threat. Now, was he a threat? Like for the video that they show, it looks like he hits him, and then Dave is able to sort of scramble away, and then they just take this guy out back and have their way with him. But so I don't agree with that necessarily.
I did see the picture, and it was one of the few times I looked at it and said, I'm not even mad if they don't press charges. He pretty much got what he got.
Right.
Oh yeah.
He looked like Elephant Man by the time he was done.
He's alive. He's going to heal in some way. He's going to get charged. I mean, my thing is just like, from like something similar to like a castle doctrine perspective, like when there isn't a threat anymore, do you still have, should you still be pursuing the stopping of this thing? Like things stop. At what point does then it become its own issue?
There you have an issue with mob mentality too, because you get a bunch of people beating a person, and at some point they stop thinking as an individual.
I mean, there's adrenaline that's like you're purely working on emotion and adrenaline at that point, and there's no conscious thought per se.
Right.
But I mean, I know that I was assaulted when I was in my early 20s. And like, there are definitely times where I played that back and wish that I'd been able to do what they did afterwards. Instead of like, it was definitely a fight or flight thing. And I ended up like fleeing because I thought that the guy was a black belt. I didn't know whether he was or wasn't, but from my understanding, he was, and he'd already been kicking me in the head. So I didn't particularly want to stay and find out and try and fight that. And like, the adrenaline in that situation was to flee. So I mean, whatever was happening, they weren't thinking rationally. And the whole Will Smith joke, I mean, that was just Chris Rock
being Chris Rock
joke. If you heard, if you watched the video, it was totally like him just controlling the audience and making a dumb joke. Was that Will Smith? And like, and the crowd laughed. Like it's a funny joke.
It is.
You want to see something funny about, like, in correlation to that? It's I actually saw this today. Shout out to Carrie Smith. I was watching her podcast today, and she had someone on there talking about this very thing. And I have to share it here too, because it was so funny. So yeah, this is it's pretty funny for you guys.
Oh, I've seen this.
Here's the situation. Say you out with your boyfriend, your girlfriend, you're at school, you at a club or something, getting busy. All right, you just having fun. Somebody steps up to you and they tell you they want to rumble. All right, now just stop for a second. Before you lose your head, get all crazy and toss your hands up, just think. The person that uses their head can always defeat the person that's just trying to use their hands. Now remember that. Because the more you know.
That aged beautifully.
Meanwhile, keep my wife's name out your mouth.
You know what? I mean, that story is, I don't know. I mean, there's so much else going on.
Oh my God, yeah.
Like when you look at the experience he had with his mom growing up, I mean, seriously, they have a very weird relationship and marriage. And like, she's definitely been manipulating him in a lot of ways. You know, it's, should he have done that? No. But like, there is a whole bunch of other, like, it's a really, like, to me, I see that as a really tragic situation.
Yeah.
Like, it's just sad. Like,
we witnessed a man break.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then apparently now he's gone to India for some spiritual healing or some
Yeah,
is what I read.
Definitely a publicist-driven, like, you need to get the hell out of town.
I hope only part of it is.
Yeah, I hope that he's going and looking. I mean, you know, we were talking about my own break earlier. I you know, my break was obviously way less public than his. I hope he's able to heal. Like, you know, I want the best for everybody, and like, I have certainly been entertained by him for multiple decades.
Yeah.
So I would
a lot of us
love
have. I
for
think
him
that
to
was
be in a healthy place.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I think we all knew that something was up and was on the rocks, but that was just like, when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, that actually happened. That was real. And it took me a minute to actually believe it was real, because like Will Smith was like I don't know, he was just like the bro of Hollywood. He's like, oh, this is the cool dude. He's a man. And, you know, and it just all came bubbling to the top. And unfortunately it had to happen in like broad daylight for everyone to see. You know,
although
on the world stage.
Maybe we should have known that something was up when his son wore that awful white Batman suit. You know?
Yeah.
That was where you know that parenting had gone wrong on some level.